Hello. Hi. How are you? Welcome, welcome. I'm just gonna wait for more people to come in before we start, but welcome. So tell me where you're from. Talk to me. Hi, Erin. How are you? Welcome, welcome to my live stream. Today we're going to be talking about the overly sexualization of Latina women and men. So this will be a kind of a different type of topic that I will cover. But believe it or not, a lot of people have been asking me, like more DMing me, particularly the people who are trying to move to Colombia. Some people are trying to move to Dominican Republic, but most of my emails and DMs have been about moving to Colombia, which I have more experience in. And people have been really, I don't know how to explain it, but they've been very interested in more of like the dating life. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I just wanted to address a concern that I have. So please stay tuned for that. I'm just waiting for more people to come in. I do think that this is something that everybody kind of talks about, but maybe it's not talked about in public or maybe not talked about online. So I want to see your thoughts. I want to hear your thoughts. I want to have a discussion about this. So, yeah, I'm just going to wait for a few more people to come in and then we will begin. So tell me who's here. Who's here? All right. So I want to start by saying, or maybe asking you guys, do you think there is an overly sexualization of Latinos and Latinas? This is something that I'm not sure if it's a I'm not sure if it's a popular thing that is talked about, but I hear people talking about it, whether it's when I was living in Colombia or just here in the United States. I would like to know your opinion. Do you think that, particularly, do you think men overly sexualize Latina women? I actually did a poll on my Instagram page. And if you are not following me on Instagram, please take a look at the description box below. It has the links to my Instagram. So I did a poll. So let me check on how the poll is doing right now. It is actually very interesting to hear the different viewpoints. Let me get to Instagram now. Okay, so I'm on my Instagram and I made a poll, and the question was, do American men over sexualize Latina women? And 95% of you said yes. and 5% said no. Now, when I look at the people who answered that question, I can see that most of the demographic, actually, for this question, it was half and half, men and women. So a lot of men actually said yes, they overly sexualize Latina women. And a lot of women voted yes, they overly sexualize Latina women. So I thought that was very interesting. I didn't expect men to really answer this way. So to me, this shows that sometimes maybe we perceive things in a different way than they really are. So when I look at the next question that I presented on Instagram as a poll, it asks, do American women over sexualize Latino men? This one was 50-50. Yes and no. And the poll, that was, I'd say a mix, but I'd say mostly women said yes. Mostly women said yes, but mostly women said no. And I say that because mostly women answered this question. Now, what the feedback that I got was men, they said that they don't think like women, so they don't really know. So men, I guess, did not feel too comfortable asking this question or answering, I'm sorry, answering this question. So I thought that was very interesting, but I really enjoyed making that poll because it seems as though that maybe we don't actually think about this very often. So I wanted to start this live stream, with something that I've experienced while living in Colombia. I never shared this with anyone, at least not online. I spoke about this in person with people that are close to me, but online I never talked about this. So this is some tea that this is some tea that you guys are hearing exclusively. So I've never actually talked about this. Um, One second, I'm getting a message on my Instagram. One second. Okay, so I'll answer that question later. So basically, what happened in Colombia? So, as I was living in Colombia, my YouTube channel actually started to grow enormously. Like, I was getting followers throughout my language learning journey, but what I really have noticed is when I moved to Colombia, people were like booming. Like people loved the content, people loved me living there. People wanted to learn more. A lot of people are DMing me even now till this day about how to move to Colombia and requesting my services. So I'm just like, wow, I didn't even think people were so interested in living in Colombia. So since moving there and living there, I've noticed a lot more attention from you guys, which I am not even upset about. I'm actually very happy because I moved to Colombia for myself, and I wanted to actually just record videos to remind myself that I'm cool, that I'm a cool person, because sometimes we go through life thinking, oh, maybe I'm nothing or maybe I'm not special. So I wanted to create a YouTube channel and create content to really just remind myself that I am worthy and that I am good and that I am cool. So that's really the reason why. So as I was putting out content, I realized that there were people that were messaging me about things that really didn't pertain to my journey. Now, most of the messages I got were great. Most of the things that I've received from you guys were amazing. But I realized that there were some people that were concerned about things that really had nothing to do with me. And what I'm talking about is people were talking about, oh, are the women easy? Are the women loose? Are the women, can they sleep with them? And I'm just like, what? Like, what does that have to do with me? First of all, I don't really care about that because I don't look at women in that way. But also, why is that your concern? Why is that something that you want to know information about? And why are you asking me about that? Then a few months of living into Colombia, I realized that I was getting messages about people, mostly Black women, mostly Black American women. They were messaging me saying, "Oh my gosh, you are the only YouTuber that's actually talking about like stuff to do in Colombia. You are the only YouTuber that's actually showing the country." Because I guess people on YouTube, I'm sorry to say, but mostly men on YouTube, they were actually just talking about the women. They were just talking about how loose they are, or different ways to get a Colombian woman, and all of these things. And it was just like, wait, is that really what's going on? So I did my own research. I went on YouTube, I searched up Colombia. Let's see what pops up. And I kid you not, it was literally like a long list of like sexual things: how to get a Colombian woman, how to have sex with a Colombian woman, how to do this, this, that, and then third. And I'm just like, wait, 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 wait. What? Where is the information about Colombia? Where is, you know, talking about the art, talking about the culture, talking about Afro Colombians, talking about all of these, the history, the all of these wonderful things that comes with Colombia? Why is that not talked about? And so after doing that little mini research, I realized, wow, maybe that's why people are interested in my Colombian content, because most things are talking about Colombian women and being more sexualized. So now fast forward a few more months of me living in Bogota, and I get a message from a very popular YouTuber. I don't think I feel comfortable saying his name just because, I don't think he's a bad guy, but I just think, I don't know. I just think that he was a little misled. But I don't feel comfortable saying his name. Maybe in time people will realize who he is. But it was a very popular YouTuber. He had like a gajillion subscribers, and I was surprised he was reaching out to me. But he reached out to me and he wanted to do a collab, and I'm like, wow, okay. Besides my friends Nibby and Amber, I've never done a collab before, so this would be great. Doing a collab with like a YouTuber that maybe I've never met before, but seems like super popular, and he's interested in doing a collab with me. So I was like, okay, yes, let's do it. Now, mind you, I didn't even look at his videos. I just saw the amount of subscribers he had, and I was like, "Oh, it's lit. Let's go. Let's collab. This will be great for me. Woohoo!" First mistake. I think if you guys are YouTubers or you guys are business owners, always look at the content of what that person is producing, because you never really know. You just never really know, and you don't want that to mess up your own brand, your own name, or your integrity. So the day of shooting happened. So I was like, okay, I'm excited. Now, I lived in Bogota. In Bogota, if you've ever been to Bogota or you know about Bogota, you know that the weather is not the best. It's usually like gloomy, it's usually rainy, hence why I moved to Medellin a few months after. But I realized that the weather was particularly bad this day. And I'm just like, man, our plan was to shoot outside. So I texted him. I said, I don't know if it's a good idea to shoot today because the weather is really bad and we won't get good lighting, and we won't get the result that we want. So I told him, can we try to shoot another day? Because I just don't think the weather is going to let up. And in Colombia, when the weather gets pretty bad, transportation, at least public transportation, is not as reliable. So I figured, okay, I'll tell him, let's try to shoot another day. He messaged me like, oh, well, this was the only chance you had to shoot with me. Everything happens for a reason. So I guess we'll never film again. Practically what he said. So I'm just like, okay, somebody is feeling himself. Like, okay. I would rather shoot on a sunny day, or at least with a little bit of sun, so that we can like have our viewers see us, but he had just had a little attitudinal problem. Okay. So I thought, okay, whatever. Maybe he's just a mean person. Let me let it go. So I said, okay, maybe it was meant to be this way. Maybe we were never meant to shoot a video together. That's okay. I can live with that. I was kind of bummed out because, I thought, wow, this will push my YouTube channel. Wow, like this will do great wonders for my YouTube channel because, I was still growing and even now I'm still growing. But I looked on his channel. I said, let me look to see what I'm missing out on. Guys, when I went to his YouTube channel, everything was about getting Colombian women and how to have sex with Colombian women. Do Colombian women like black men? Um, do Colombian women sleep with black men? All of these things. And honestly, honestly, he has an audience for it. And I'm not going to knock him for that. I'm not. What I'm saying is that's not my thing. I Personally, I don't care about that stuff. I care about learning of the culture of people. I care about learning the language. I care about learning just everybody's individual stories that I come across within me living in their space. That's really what I care about. I don't care about sleeping with people. I don't care about those types of things. But apparently, a lot of people do. And you know what? I'm not going to judge y'all for it. If you're interested in that, I'm not judging you for it. But I just feel like this is my personal opinion, if you travel and if you experience different cultures and you even learn the language, why not get to know the people around you? But, after seeing what he produced on YouTube, I realized he's not really into Colombia because for the short while we chatted before he gave me his little diva speech about how it's not meant to be, blah, 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 he was telling me I asked him also, how is it living in Colombia? Because we were living in Bogota around the same period of time. So I guess we got there around the same period of time. So I was asking him like, oh, so, how is it living in Colombia? Like, are you learning Spanish? What are you doing there? So he was teaching English, but he was like, I have no interest of learning Spanish. Like, I don't even care. I'm just here to get a paycheck. And I'm just like, oh, okay. Okay. Because I guess he's not from the United States, I think. I'm not sure. I didn't double check, but I don't think he's from the United States, but he speaks English really well. And I was a little disappointed, especially after seeing the content that he produced on his YouTube channel. And I was just like, wow. But he has a strong male following and that's good. Everybody who is on YouTube or is doing their thing, especially black businesses, I support you. But I just feel like that I can't support. Like for myself, for putting my face on it. I just don't think I can support a channel or a person that their dedication is how to sleep with Colombian women, how to get a Colombian woman. I just don't know if I can support that. So I would like to know your thoughts. Like let me know, what do you guys think? Am I wrong for thinking that way? Am I wrong for feeling relieved that I didn't work with this YouTuber? I would really like to know what you guys have to say because that that actually traumatized me from working with other YouTubers. Now I feel like I need to do way more research before accepting anything from another YouTuber. So please let me know, what do you guys think? Um, so there are some things that I want to mention. What I've noticed, even before moving to Colombia, I've noticed that when people are talking about Latina women in general, it's like sexy, spicy, and that's good. I think it's great to have those attributes attached to your ethnicity. But I've noticed that when women, I can only speak from my experience, but I've noticed that when women are talking about, no, not that. I want to use the right words. When women are portraying themselves in the same light as Americans, we kind of get a negative stereotype. And I can I can mostly speak for Black women. I can mostly speak for Black women that when we're more spicy, when we're more rambunctious, we're painted in a way that it's not nice at all. And it really, really sucks because I've lived in Colombia for a freaking year, and seen the same attitude, the same spiciness, the same wiggling of the hair, throwing the hair back, thing, the same attitude. And American men drool. They go crazy over it. And I'm just like, how? How, Sway? How does that even happen? Like, what is the actual difference? What is the difference? Because me and my friends, I believe that we're good women. We speak properly, but every now and again, it's like, oh, hold on, don't try us now. But when a Colombian woman or a Dominican woman, and I can only speak for a few Latina cultures because I've went there and I've lived there and I spent time there. So I only can speak for a few. I can't speak for all. But for all of the Latin countries I visited, and you can check out my YouTube channel. I visited a few and I'm planning on visiting more. You can see for yourself in my videos and even me experiencing it through you guys, through YouTube, and you seeing it firsthand. These women aren't really that different from the women in the United States. Maybe I would say that some of the differences are Colombian women and Dominican women. They're probably a little bit more submissive. And I honestly think if you have a man that is worth submitting to, then do it. But in honesty, American men, I don't want, not all of you, because some of you really do deserve that. But some of you, I don't know. Am I wrong? Please let me know. So I'm going to read some of the comments that I see coming in. But let me know, am I in the wrong mindset here? Because I just feel like I see women just being women. But because they are from a certain country, I feel like they have a different standard. And I don't know if that's right. I don't think that's right. Um, let's see. Oh my gosh. Okay, Charlie T says, "No, you're right. In my country, the men constantly go to DR to pay for prostitutes. They think the women are better." Oh my god. Like, guys, Charlie is actually right. When I went to Colombia, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Venezuelan crisis. It's they've just elected a new president, I think, or something big is happening in Venezuela. But when I was living in Colombia last year, and I lived for a full year, they the Venezuelan government was just horrible, horrible. And I'm sure it's still rebuilding now, but the Venezuelan government was just like in shambles when I was living in Colombia. So a lot of Venezuelan immigrants moved to Colombia for a better opportunity, for a better life. And even from where my family is from Trinidad and Tobago. A lot of Venezuelans are moving into Trinidad and Tobago as well. So I'm very familiar with the Venezuelan immigration crisis, I guess you can say. So I brought that up to say that when I was living in Colombia, I noticed that people have told me prostitution is legal in Colombia. Now, other people have told me it's not legal. It's just that people don't really pay attention to it that much. So when I would go home, like, after a night of partying with my friends, I would go home and I would see a buttload of people just on the street, and women, I should say. A lot of women on the street with tight little dresses and one little like um purse, like those like messenger bags, and I noticed that I was just like, what are they doing out there? So I asked I asked some of my friends, I'm like, what? Why are these women just out here? It is 3 o'clock in the morning. Aren't they scared? And my friends told me they're prostitutes, and a lot of them are Venezuelans. And it was so sad to hear that, because at least coming from Trinidad and Tobago, like Venezuelans have always been a part of the Trinidad and Tobago culture in a way because we're so close to one another, and they always come to our country, and actually we always go to their country to like shop and buy different things. So I was just like, oh my gosh, they're in Colombia too, and worse off, they're prostituting themselves. Not every Venezuelan woman is prostituting themselves. Please do not take this out of context. But what I am saying is that was a big thing happening in Bogota, especially. Like there was a whole street dedicated to Venezuelan prostitutes. And even when I went to Cartagena as well, Venezuelan prostitutes, they were just a heavy domination in those specific streets. And I was just like, man, why? Why is this happening? Their main clientele, were American men. Their main clientele. They didn't even come up to like any like black men, or because especially Cartagena, there's a lot of black people. So they didn't go up to black men. They didn't go up to anybody unless you were wearing like American clothes. Then they're like, oh, hola, papi. And I'm just like, oh my God, like, is it really that bad? But it was. It was. And I'm just like, this is crazy. So this is putting into foreigners' heads, foreigners mean like Americans or Canadians, it's putting in their heads that, oh wow, all Colombian women are like this. And I'm just like, you never even took the time out to get to know anybody. You went straight to Colombia to have sex. That's crazy to me. You went all the way to Colombia to have sex. And it's like, and to pay for sex. Like, why? And then they'll list all Colombian women this way. And also because paying for this, they'll say, oh wow, Colombian women are more submissive, or Colombian women, they get along with you better. And I'm just like, do you want a woman or do you want a slave? Like, what do you actually want? And it just really makes me angry because it's like, come on. You went to another country for that? You didn't go to another country to see their culture, to learn their language, to eat their food, to see the sights. You went to another country for that reason? That makes me really, really sad. As an avid traveler, that makes me really sad. Um Thank you, phenomenal woman. She said, "Hola, I appreciate you taking the high road. Keep it classy." Thank you so much. So, if you're now tuning in, I previously told a story about working with a very big YouTuber here on YouTube, who I don't know how he began on YouTube, but when I was introduced to him, he was in Colombia. We had moved to Colombia around the same time. And he wanted to work with me. He actually reached out to me, and I was like, me, little old me, okay, like I'm so excited. So the day of that, the day we were supposed to shoot together, the weather was horrible, and we were supposed to shoot outside. The weather was awful, and Bogota is pretty bad usually, but this day was just like awful, awful. So I asked him, "Hey, let's reshoot, or like let's schedule another day or something like that." And he's like, "Well, it's meant to be. If it's meant to be, like we're not gonna shoot together, or today was the only day I was free, and I could never shoot you again." And I'm just like, okay, I didn't think I said anything bad. I just thought the weather was kind of bad, So he basically made it feel like, or seem like, that was the only day that could ever happen. Any other day, I'm missing my chance and stuff like that. And it just made me feel like he went into diva mode. And when people do that, I shut down. I'm sorry, like I don't see people higher than me, and I don't see people lower than me. If you don't talk to me on the same level, we cannot gel. We have to be the same level because I believe all of us are humans and we need to all speak to each other properly. And so I was turned off by that. So I said, okay, no big deal. I'm not gonna feel any kind of way. And I didn't. But I was so happy that it never happened because when I looked back on his page, guys, he had all these like, I don't want to call it misogynistic because I don't know. I don't know. I'm not gonna say his name because that's not right. But I'm pretty sure if you guys Google how to get Colombian women, his name will come up because he's one of the biggest ones. Um, and he's not from the United States. So you guys figure it out yourselves. I'm not gonna say it out loud. But I'm so glad that I didn't work with him because when I went to his page, I'm telling you, all of his videos was about, do Colombian women like American men? Do Colombian women like black men? Colombian women have sex on the first night? Do Colombian women do? And I'm just like, wait, you're not talking about the Colombian culture? Are you at least gonna talk about you living in Colombia? Like, what are you gonna talk about here? You know? And it just got me so mad. And I was like, wow, God, you poured that rain down that day, so I would not work with this guy. I feel like God saved me in that moment because I don't want to be associated with that. Now, for people who like that content, do your thing. I'm not judging you. Please do your thing. But I personally, I don't want to be associated with that. So let me read some of you guys' comments. Let's see. I had a chance to spend 2 months in Medellin from August to September. Oh, awesome, phenomenal woman. Medellin is like, I just love Medellin so much. It's just so beautiful. The weather is perfect. You can learn amazing Spanish there. It's a little harder. So if you're gonna move to Medellin, I would suggest be at least like higher intermediate because their accent is pretty tough. Their accent is pretty tough. So be higher intermediate if you plan on moving to Medellin or at least visiting for a long period of time. Um, phenomenal woman says, no hate, but US men do overrate the women in Medellin. I was surprised and confused too. Yes. Thank you. And I'm so glad you said that because as I was living in Bogota and I was living in Medellin, and then I visited Cartagena and Cali, both places for 2 weeks each. And maybe that's not enough time, 2 weeks each, but I felt like I got a good enough vibe of what the place was like. And I realized whenever I ran into Americans, Canadians, sometimes Australians, or just any other type of people from outside of Colombia, I realized even Africans, I ran into Africans on vacation, and I realized everybody was bigging up the Colombian women for their attitude and their spiciness. And there's nothing wrong with that because I think Colombian women are awesome. A lot of my friends are Colombian women. But I realized, especially the Americans, I realized when it came to like women, and I can only speak for like, because I met a lot of Black Americans there. So I guess I can mostly speak for Black Americans. A lot of Black Americans, when they met Colombian women, it was like, woohoo, like, yeah, some spice, some attitude. But then it's like, hold on, like, Black women in America are known for that. And you should just have a good attitude towards people who are good to you, you know? But I just find it so hypocritical. Like, am I wrong? Please, I don't mind being corrected. Let me know if I am wrong. Let me know. But I feel like my first instinct says that there's something wrong with that. Is it because they're different? Is it because they look different? Is it because they speak a different language? Is it because their accent? Like, what is it? Because that's not right. And also, I would like to talk about the other way around. Um, do American women go to other countries to over sexualize their men? You know, I personally have not experienced that myself. I think that's why I had some DMs like, why did you pose the question that way? Why are American men overly sexualizing Latina women? I posed the question that way because that's what I've seen. So I decided to change the question because I said, okay, that's not fair because everybody experiences different things. But honest, like, that's what I've noticed. That's what I have noticed. So let me get to you guys' comments. Hi, Crystal. Hi, lovely Rebel. Thank you guys for joining. Um, let's see. Lovely Rebel says they feel emasculated by American Black women as they are surpassing and achieving more than them. So they choose to go to South America and align themselves with women whom adhere to traditional. You know what, Lovely Rebel? I didn't think about it that way. That's a very, very good point. And you also said ascribed status prior to the women movement here in the US. That is a great, great comment because that is, I think, the difference between especially like Colombian Black women and American Black women. And if you guys aren't Black, I'm very sorry, but this is like the thing that I can relate to the most. But I still think it relates because honestly, like even though the cultures are a little bit different in America f- versus white America versus Black America, I still think there are a lot of similarities, especially in Colombia. In Colombia, the similarities are actually closer. You don't see big similarities between white Colombians, Black Colombians, and mestizo Colombians. They're actually, if you go up to someone in Colombia and say, "Hey, what are you?" They'll say Colombian. They will not say Black first. They will not say white first. They won't say mestizo, which is mixed first. They will say Colombian. Can we really say that about America? You know, so I do think that there are more tight knit. They're more of a tight knit culture in Colombia, and probably in the rest of the Latin American experience. I think, from what I've seen. Correct me if I'm wrong. But what I was trying to say is, what I've noticed is when I was living in Colombia, Bogota and Medellin are like the two most expensive cities. From what I've heard and from what I've seen, from what my bank account has seen, they're the most expensive cities. And yet, as I was making very minimum wage, like whatever the smallest minimum wage is in America, I was making less. But I was living like a queen out there. I made maybe what, $500 a month, US dollars a month, which if I was living in New York with that, I would be homeless. That's not even a joke. I will actually be homeless because New York is extremely expensive. But out there, I was living like a queen. I dined out maybe 3 or 4 times a week. I took Ubers everywhere. I took taxis everywhere. I took the train once or twice a month. I went out a lot and I lived like a queen. So that's to tell you when a lot of, oh, I'm covering the mic. Can you guys hear me? I'm sorry, I'm blabbing all away and nobody can hear me. Please let me know if you can hear me. Can you hear me? Hello? Okay. Thank you, lovely rebel. Okay, so I hope you guys heard everything I said before. So basically, I was saying that I was living like a queen out in Colombia with only $400-500 a month. And that's to tell you guys, you don't need a lot of money to visit, you know? So as I was making minimal money, American standard, but a lot of money there. And actually, when I Googled it, I Googled what is the cost of living for like an average person. Guys, it was like $200 to $300 a month, US dollars. So I was living upper middle class, I think. I don't know. So yeah, 9,000 pesos, which is what? Guys, that's like 3,000. Okay, 3,000 pesos from a year ago. It could have changed now, but from a year ago, that was $1. 3,000 pesos is $1. So I was living good. I didn't need much. And my rent was like $100 a month. So I say all of that to say, when people visit Colombia, and if let's say they brought 1,000 to 2,000 bucks for their trip and they were there for like 2 weeks, they could Y'all, they could buy anything they wanted and still had money left over. So if American men see that Colombian prostitutes are charging like $2 for nights, I don't know. I don't know about prostitution, so I don't know. But if they were charging that much, they will feel like the man. They will feel like, what? I'm Papi Chulo, like I'm everything. I don't know if you guys say that still. They would feel like they're everything. So their mental, especially like you have to think a lot of men in America, if they work a 9 to 5 and they don't get respect and they don't have a high position, they probably don't even think high of themselves. So why would they, skimp out on a vacation? They're gonna go all out. If they see, oh wow, bottles in the club cost like $5, I'm gonna buy that, versus in New York, it costs like $150. So maybe. So, the life is different. The lifestyle is different. And when you come with US dollars, you go to Colombia, DR is even, you get even more in DR, in Mexico, even more. So it's like, why would they skimp out? Why would they be a cheapskate for that? Thank you, lovely rebel. They can recreate themselves. And there's nothing wrong with that because I think an amazing thing about traveling is recreating yourself. But when you turn into a version of yourself that is skewed or is more predatory, or you turn into this weird, like, I don't want to say this word, but I'm going to say it, slave master type of way. I don't know if that's a healthy thing. I feel like that's something more psychological that you need to actually talk to a therapist about, because for me, vacation is going to the beach and relaxing and chilling out, like maybe party a little bit, maybe drink a pina colada. But for some people, vacation is actually other things. It's just other things. So that's really, really scary. So let me get to you guys' comments because I see a lot's coming in right now. Um, let's see. Let's see. Doo-doo-doo. Jed or G. Edwards Jr. says, I was in Medellin in May for 3 weeks. Women not overrated, but many men visiting have a low threshold of choices. Many professional women. Really? Interesting. Where in Medellin did you go to? Because there are Medellin, it's according to Colombia, it's pretty small, but I feel like it's very diverse. So the places that I went to, one spot, and when I visited other places, I realized there were just a whole bunch of different types of people. So I'm curious to know, what part of Medellin did you go to? Let's see. Phenomenal woman, you love Medellin. Awesome. I loved it too, guys. I recommend Medellin. Like, awesome. Um, Word of the day says, the women seem messed up. It is a bad stereotype. It is a bad stereotype. Like, as much as I hate being stereotyped myself, I hate when other people get stereotyped, especially if I took time to get to know them, if I took time to speak with them and learn about their culture, their language. Like, I spent 3 to 4 years of my life learning Spanish, for crying out loud. Like, and then I see people coming in just with their hola and oh, como estás? Like, I'm Poppy. Like, what? You're just doing this to get women. To me, that's just like degrading. I don't know. And I feel like I'm a woman that is for all women, even if we're different cultures. I feel like I'm for all women. And I just think that's wrong. I don't know. Ellie Trinidad says, I think women can sexualize men too. We have the same desire. You're right. I think women do have the same desire. And there are some women who do travel like for those reasons. I actually watched a documentary about Cuba. And ever since it was actually, the documentary was placed or filmed before Americans were able to go to Cuba freely. I hope we can still go to Cuba freely because I don't know what's going to happen with our president now. But before that, it was Canadians were able to go to Cuba freely. So a lot of Canadians would travel there, and a lot of them wanted to have their sexcapades in Cuba. And it was the weirdest documentary ever. And it just talks about how a lot of Canadian women would just go there to just, I don't even know what the word is. They would just go out there to do it. And I was just like, dang, like, that sucks. See, because that's going to give a bad name for other foreigners coming in. And it has. It has. Because even today, if you are, I don't think if you're a Black American or Black Canadian, I don't think you will maybe experience this problem because Cuba has a lot of Black people. But if you're a Caucasian person, probably they'll call you Canadian first because that's for years since what, the 60s, maybe even before that. If my history is failing me, even before that, Canadian women have been going out there looking for Poppy to have a fun night with. So I know for a fact that Cuba was that place. It was that place. Now, as of now, I don't know because I didn't do that research. And yes, lovely rebel, a Latin lover. I feel like that's where that term came from. And then look at how they portray Latin men. They portray Latin men. I don't know if you guys are old enough to know Fairly Odd Parents, but that was one of my favorite cartoons growing up. But Fairly Odd Parents, they had this character. What was I don't remember his name, but he was in love with Wanda, and Cosmo hated him, right? And he was just sexy, and one of his moves was like tearing off his shirt, always tearing off his shirt, and like they all Wandísimo. Yes, it was Wandísimo. First of all, that's a horrible name. That's an awful name. But yes, it was Wandísimo. And like his actual character would just tear off his shirt every minute just to impress Wanda. And it was just like, yo, like, is this is our image of Latino men that they're just supposed to take us over and we're supposed to go like, oh, Wandísimo. Like that's what we're supposed to do. Like, no, that's not cool. That is a horrible stereotype because even though some of those men are like that, I'm not even gonna lie. Some of those men are like that. Most men, at least in my experience, when I was out there, when I was dating and whatever, I experienced gentlemen. I experienced men who wanted to take care of me in a proper way. And they were just like, careful with what they said because they wanted to impress me and everything. Like, it never got to a point of being serious, so I never really knew if, oh, maybe they're dating other people. I don't know, but from my knowledge, they treated me properly. So it was sad to see that is the stereotype. Wandísimo is probably the most accurate stereotype I can tell you guys about Latino men. And guys, I did a video, an awesome video with Ambi Gonzalez. Her channel now is Siempre Ambi. We did a video that talked about something like this. We get a lot of messages about why are you traveling to Latin countries? And I'm just like, okay, what do you mean why? People actually think that we're going out there to have sex with men. Like, what? Like, for the women who are listening, please, in the comments, please tell me, is it hard to get a man on your block? Please tell me, is it hard to get a man on your block? On your block only. Nowhere else, just on your block. Please tell me. Because for me, if I just look at a dude, it's like, ooh, give me a number. And I'm like, wait, hold on. It ain't that serious, dude. Thank you. Thank you, Charlie T. Not at all. Men love me. Thank you. Men out there who are listening, it is not difficult for women, I'm sorry. It is not difficult for women to get men. It's not. It's just in our DNA that men like women. It's just, I'm sorry. Like, it's not this big mystery. You can be a supermodel or you can be regular chick down the street. You can get a man. It is not hard. You just need to be a woman. So why in the world would I travel halfway across the world to get a man? Why? Why would I spend thousands of dollars to get a man? No, that doesn't make sense. So for all y'all dudes messaging me saying you just want to get, I don't like cursing, but y'all, you just want to get D from Colombia, from DR, from Mexico. What? No. Why can't I just want to travel? Why can't I just want to advance my Spanish speaking skills? Like, I just don't understand. Okay, y'all comments are lighting up right now. Let me read some more. Let's see, let's see. Let me scroll up a little bit. Um, G. Edwards Jr. said he had $1,000 for 3 weeks, and that was true. That he didn't need that much money to have a fun time in Colombia. I'm gonna tell you that. And Bogota and Medellin are the most expensive places, and yet you can go with $1,000 for 3 weeks and have a fun time. I'm telling you, drinks, your hotel or Airbnb, you don't need that much money to go to Colombia. US dollars. Pounds? Oh my gosh, forget about it. If you have pounds, spend 2 months there. You're fine. So Jane Doe says, slave master, explain more. So what I meant by that is I just got this feeling that American men who were regular dudes, like I'm not talking about like baller shot callers in United States. I'm talking about just regular 9 to 5 dudes who just made regular money, like $20 an hour. I don't know. Every state's different, but you know, just a regular amount of money, like a middle class guy who's single, who maybe didn't get a lot of recognition. That type of man would go to Colombia and just be like papi. And I say papi in a way like women will be flocking him because you don't need that much money to go to Colombia. And I think now people are realizing like Colombia is getting more popular now, and you don't need that much money to live in Colombia or even visit Colombia. If you're visiting Colombia with $1,000 for like 2 weeks, you'll be like you'll be throwing money at people and still come back home with money in your pocket. You know, I remember going to DR. I went to DR with my sister, and the first time I went to DR, I went with what was it? I would like to say $400 or $500, and I spent 5, 6 days there, under a week. First of all, I came back with $200. So I spent maybe $300. And when I tell you, like in New York, I'm kind of like, I'm not the best tipper in the world because I'm that person that's like, okay, I'll give you 20%, but that's all I can give you. Like, that's all I can give you. I can't give you more in a tip, and I'll pay for my food. But in Colombia and in DR and in Mexico, oh my gosh, I was an amazing tipper. People came up to me and shook my hand. They're like, oh, thank you. I'm like, I just gave you $10. Like, what? Yo, it is not expensive in these countries for an American and maybe for a British person. Well, definitely British because y'all got pounds. So, like, when men who are regular men in their hometown and they go to Colombia, DR, Mexico, where the money triples or quadruples, they become they become the man. They become the man. So when they are feeling this way, like, ooh, they see me as Poppy, they see me as the man. I feel like, and I've seen this with my own eyes and more than one occasion, something happens in their head where they feel like, ooh, maybe I own them. And not everybody, please don't take this out of proportion. Not everybody, not every American man, no, not everybody. But I've seen it happen where women are giving them attention because of their money. And I don't know, hopefully they realize it's just because of their money. But women are giving them attention. So they start to develop these thoughts like, wow, like I'm the man, I'm this. I'm gonna give you this amount of money if you do this. And then they have this thing in their head where they're just like, oh, Colombian women are like this. Oh, Mexican women are like this. Oh, Dominican women are like this. And I'm just like, no, they're not. You have your thoughts skewed, sir. They're not. They're great. They're normal. They're regular women. You are just doing this. You're doing this thing where it changes the experience. But if you walk down the street and talk to a Colombian woman, she's gonna be regular. She's gonna be normal. And if you mess with her, she's gonna pop off at you. Like I think every respectable woman would. So it gets me angry when they have this slave master mentality. I said slave master, and maybe that's not the right word. Maybe like the man or master mentality. But it gets me mad when they go to these places and they have this mentality and then they paint everybody like that. And that's not right. Um, so let me get to somebody else's comments. Let's see. Ooh, implanted agenda. I'm moving to Medellin on July 4th. That's awesome. Have fun. You're going to love it. I hope that you have refreshed your Spanish. I hope that because honestly, Medellin, I love it, but their accent's a little tough. So really really get your Spanish going. Let's see. Lovely Rebel says there's a whole sex tourism deal. They not only travel to South America, but Africa as well. Oh my gosh. That's gonna be a whole other video. When I visited Ghana before I became a YouTuber, I spent some time in Ghana. I actually went for work when I was a model and an actress. So I did work out there. And between that time of doing my work out there, I had a little bit of time for tourism, not that much. But even between the work that I was doing, I went from job to job to job. I noticed the tourists out there, and I don't want to say it, but the white tourists out there, it was a little different. Like, it was really crazy. So, I would love to talk about that in another video. And my plans are to go back to Africa, hopefully back to Ghana and to Nigeria and South Africa and Egypt and different places, as long as they're safe for me to go to. My plan is to go there and vlog and then tell you about my experiences there. So, please, if you're not subscribed, subscribe to my channel so you can stay tuned for that. But Africa is a whole other ball game. Like, whole other ball game. Um, let's see. Word of the day says Jamaica was that place for Toronto. I'm assuming you're talking about when I spoke about Cuba. You said rent a dread. Oh my gosh. Whew, I have not yet been to Jamaica, but I've heard stories. It's crazy. It's crazy. But a lot of the stories that I heard about Jamaica were pertaining to the American white women going to Jamaica. Like it was crazy for them. I don't even know. Once I visit Jamaica, I'll talk about Jamaica. Let's see. Crystal Johnson says, "Yes, I loved Fairly Odd Parents. I remember." Thank you. I'm not alone. Let's see. Rated RJ says, "Latino isn't even a race." Yes, exactly. Latino is not a race. And I've covered this on my channel before, and I think people know this already. I think we all understand that Latino is not a race. It is an ethnicity, and ethnicity basically means culture for short. Um, in America, we kind of blend the two, but in other countries, they don't. They don't blend the two. Usually in Colombia, if you ask somebody or if they are in America and they're Colombian or Dominican, you'll ask them, "Hey, what are you?" They will say their country first, which represents their culture. They won't say black, white, Asian. They won't say that first. They will say where they're from first. And most countries do that. America is probably the only country that does not. But also America's very blended, so that's probably why it's very mixed. So that's probably why. So there's no issue with that. But when you start associating a race with a country only, I think that's dangerous because you can see a black woman and she will quickly tell you, "I'm from Brazil. What are you talking about?" But you would think she's from America. So I think there's a something damaging if you associate race with ethnicity. It's not always the same thing. So, yes, Latino is not a race. It's just a culture. Um, Most people who are Latino speak Spanish. Some speak Portuguese. Some speak Italian. But they all don't look the same. They're very much across the board. You can see people in the rainbow spectrum from different countries. So please just remember Latino is not a race. And also, something, a pet peeve that I have, especially after living in Spain, is calling Latino people Spanish. Please stop calling them Spanish. They're not Spanish. People from Spain are Spanish. People from Mexico are Latinos or Mexican. People from Honduras are Honduran. You can call them Latino, but stop calling them Spanish, please. Like when I went to Spain and I was like, oh, people call people from Mexico Spanish, people call people from Puerto Rico Spanish. They're like, what? No, they're not Spanish. We're Spanish. So they get offended by that. So please, just please remember that. Let's see. Oh, I got a lot of comments. Thank you guys for commenting. Let's see. Let's see. Rated RJ says, you think Colombia doesn't have racism? I do think so. And after, I dated a few Afro Latinos, Afro Colombians out there, and I asked them this question. I said, "Hey, do you ever feel like you were targeted for like, racist reasons?" And most of them would say no. Honestly, most of them would say no. They can probably name. I asked one guy in particular. He named like two or three instances, one from his childhood and two from his adulthood, where he thought, "Wow, you're being racist in this moment." But he was nearly 30, and he only experienced two or three racist incidents in his life. You can ask an 18-year-old black man in America; he can name like 50, incidents in his life. So I know my brother. He's not 30. He's what, 23, 24, turning 24 soon. He can name a million and one. And I experienced a few with him. So it's a different culture. Yes, there's racism there. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, but I think it's exponentially less than in the United States, just from my experience, just from the guys that I've dated out there and the things that I've seen. I think it's less. And even I have a really close friend. He's American. I have him in one of my videos. It's when I freshly moved to Medellin. Um, he actually in person, not on my video, but I actually want to interview him, so hopefully he'll let me. In person, he told me he's lived in England. He's from England originally, but lived in the United States his whole life. He's experienced more racism in the United States than anywhere else that he's lived. And he lives in Medellin right now. He says the racism is so much less in Medellin. He actually moved to Medellin, Colombia, because of the racism he's experienced in the United States. That tells me something, right? So, yeah, it's racist. And he said he experienced racism in Medellin. And he has dreads. He has long dreads. So sometimes, like in a lot of Latin countries, they judge you based on how you look. I mean, it's the same everywhere. They judge you based on your look, but he said it doesn't compare to what he experienced in the United States. So, that's his experience that he talked to me about. Let's see. Oh my gosh, you guys, thank you so much for commenting. There's so many. Let's see. Lauren Horton, Colombia is amazing. It is amazing. And please don't let that scare you from traveling to Colombia or traveling, period. Like, please go out there and travel and experience. Let's see. Oh, and Planted in Jen, I'm very fluent in Spanish. Great. Woo, then Medellin is about to be popping for you. Let's see. Lovely Rebel says, I'm nervous for Cartagena. They're gentrifying the historically black city. The historically black city. The government has mandated that limited portion foreigners can purchase property and the natives need to own the rest. I didn't hear about that. I Oh my god, I don't want that to happen. I mean, But I mean, if we think about it, let's think about it though. Maybe they want more Colombians to own property there. I mean, it's not the worst thing if you think about it, but it sucks if you really just love the city. So I don't know. I feel 50-50 about that. Let's see. Implanted in when are you coming back to Medellin? I'm coming back as soon as possible. I had a few things to do. I just recently came back from Puerto Rico, so I had a few things to do there. But I'm actually looking for a place to live. I don't know if I want to go back to Medellin. I want to try Cartagena, maybe Cali. I don't know, maybe Barranquilla. So I'm actually right now looking for a place to live in Colombia, so wherever I can see that is affordable and easy for me to get to work to, because remember, I'm a flight attendant and I'm based in New York, so I have to make sure I can get to New York so I can start working. So I'm just trying to see what works out for me. But I'll be back in Colombia very soon, and I have so many friends in Bogota and Medellin, so I definitely have to visit them. So I'll be back in Medellin very soon. Let's see. Let's see. Hey, Chanel, I watch your videos all the time. Please tell me how Black men are accepted. I believe you said accepted by the women in Colombia. Kenyatta Whitlow TV says this. Okay. Well, I think that Black women are accepted pretty well in Colombia, especially by Black men. I'm not sure if you said Black women or just women in general. I think Black men are very approving of women in Colombia. The purpose of this live was to just shed light on people who kind of put this stereotype on Latina women. They just say things like, "Oh, they're sexier, they're spicier," and that's okay if you have that opinion, but in compared to where you're from, if women are already like that, it makes me side eye you like, are you okay in the head? Because I feel like, especially if you're from the United States, and especially if you're a black man from the United States, the stereotype for black women is being have an attitude. So when you put a stereotype on a Colombian woman for having attitude and you mark it as sexy, it's like, wait, what? You mark black women's attitude as bad, but you mark Colombian women, black American women, I'm sorry, but you mark Colombian women's attitude as sexy, as good. Like that's crazy to me. You have to pick one. Do you like the attitude or not? Pick it. You know what I mean? I personally always feel like any woman having a bad attitude is not good. Blanket statement for everybody. You know, I have a video about me and an amazing woman. She lives in Colombia right now. She's a very good friend of mine. And she started off as my subscriber and she became my really good friend. She lives in Cartagena right now. And we talked about how Black American women, or just women in America in general, just need to calm down with the "I am woman, I'm going to beat you up," or "I am woman, I can do everything." Like, we just need to calm down with that. I talked about that. So I am not for having attitude. I'm not for that. But when I grew up with black women and I see attitude, and then I moved to Colombia and I see attitude, but yet people mark it as one is good, one is bad, one is bad, one is good. That makes me upset. That's hypocritical. Thank you, lovely rebel. Attitude is attitude. No so wavy says all attitudes are equal. Thank you. So just if you're saying attitude is bad. You know, just because one person looks different or one person speaks a different language or has a different accent, it's not okay. No, so wait, said attitude with an accent is sexy. Yes, but okay. All right, 3 to 4 weeks in living with that person, I want to see how sexy that attitude is. I want to see how that attitude is after four weeks or a month or 2 months. You know, so to me, it's like a little hypocritical. It's a little hypocritical, especially when the black women in my life that I know, my friends, my family members, we're all trying to better ourselves and be better women, being godly women, being sweet, calm, and loving. It just seems to me like, wait, hold on. There are women out there that's trying to be better women. And you're still running to Colombian women, you're still running to Dominican women because of their attitude. It's like, wait a second, you told me to stop having an attitude, and then you go there to get an attitude. I don't know. I don't know. Let's see. Lovely Rebel says the cultural indoctrination against American Black women makes it unequal because we aren't given the benefit of the doubt. And I do agree with that. If you guys know me as a person or you know me as a YouTuber, you know I'm extra hard on American Black women. That I'm always harder on American Black women because I love American Black women. However, that's correct. Lovely Rebel is correct. There is a certain what's the word? There's a certain unfairness that happens. And I'm just like, I like to call a spade a spade. I like to try to be fair on all grounds. You can't sit here and tell me, "Oh, baby, oh, mommy, your attitude's so sexy," and then go back home and be like, "Nah, nah, 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 your attitude needs to change." Like, no. So, guys, I want to wrap up this live. These are amazing comments. Please let me know if you'd like me to continue this subject matter because there is a lot of things to be said. Like I said before, earlier in my live, I talked about the specific YouTuber who wanted to work with me, which I was like so happy because he was like really big, but it didn't work out for weather reasons, and he gave me this huge attitude because of it. But I was so happy I didn't work with him because of his content. His content was just all about having sex with Colombian women. And I was just like, is this a thing? Then I realized as I was getting like more messages about Colombia, as I was living longer in Colombia, a lot of people, and especially women, they came up to me and they messaged me and they said, "Thank you so much for your videos because all of the videos about Colombia were just about having sex with women." And I'm like, "Wait, what? This is a thing?" So, and Lovely Rebel says it's def a thing. Yeah, it's definitely a thing. So I'm really, really happy that I was able to recognize this. But I almost feel like, man, am I putting my foot in my mouth by talking about this? But I wouldn't be myself if I didn't talk about serious issues that I believe are serious, at least that pertains to my life, traveling and learning languages and things like that, and love and just relationships and personal relationships. Those things really really matter to me as a person. So I want to talk more about this, but if you're interested in learning more or hearing more, please let me know. I wasn't sure how you guys were going to react to this, but I said, you know what, I'm going to talk about it anyway because this is the stuff that interests me. I want to pick your guys' brain about this. So there were so many comments that I didn't get to. I'm really, really sorry. Time is of the essence. I do have to get to work in a little bit. So I just wanted to make sure that I spoke to you guys. I'm going to be pushing out more content as much as I can. If you're not subscribed already, please subscribe to my channel. I'm going to be doing a lot of travel vlogs in the near future, a lot more language learning vlogs, a lot more language learning videos, tips, and how to just really, really get into your language learning because I am teaching Spanish and teaching English as of now. So I feel like I know a little bit. I know a little something, something. But please, guys, if you're not following me on Instagram, follow me now. I accept lots of DMs. I answer as much as I can. And the ones that I don't answer, I actually, talk about it here on YouTube, whether it's a live stream or a recorded video. So thank you so much for watching. Lovely Rebel says, "Are you still doing group travel? If so, to Colombia?" I'm still doing group travel. I'm still doing travel with Chanelle, which is basically a group travel where we travel to different countries together and we vlog the experience together. I'm actually going to put up a poll. So the next place that I go to, I want you guys to decide. So I'm going to put up different places. So whether it's in here, the live stream, or if you're watching later, put it in the comment section. What country do you want to go to? Out of the top 5 countries, I'm going to put up a poll and I want you guys to vote. Whatever country gets the most votes, I'm going to schedule a group travel trip there. And we all can go there together. then I'll put up all the information on how to sign up for that trip. So let me know whether it's here in the live or in the comment section where you would like to go to. And then I'll put up a poll for everyone to vote. Whichever gets the most votes, they'll be able to we'll be able to all go there together. So I'm really excited about that. But yes, I am still doing the group travel together. It's called Travel with Chanelle, which is me. So thank you guys so much for watching. I'm really, really honored that you guys came out and supported me. Um, Please subscribe to my channel, and we'll be seeing each other very soon with more videos and more content. I love you guys, and thank you so much. Bye.